coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Keeping your hands clean is one of the most important steps you can take to avoid getting sick and spreading germs to others. So be wise and wash your hands regularly to keep those germs at bay. Get more tips for healthy living by tuning in to Kaieteur Radio every Monday at 1:05 p.m. for Your Health Matters.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Your Health Matters on Kaieteur Radio for today, Monday, June 7, 2021. I'm your host, Rihanna Ramsey, and today we're speaking with Dr. Pedro Lewis, Director of the National Blood Transfusion Service, and it's ahead of World Blood Donor Day, which is observed on June 14, which is next Monday. Welcome to the program, Dr. Lewis, and I must apologize for the delay in the start today for those who are our regular viewers and listeners. Hello?
Thank you for your invite, and good afternoon to all your viewers
and listeners.
Kaieteur News Radio.
It's always a pleasure. This is Dr. Lewis's probably third or second time on the show, and it's always a pleasure having him with us here. And today our topic is voluntary blood donation, which is something that he's very knowledgeable about given his position at the National Blood Transfusion Service, and he has been extensively promoting voluntary blood donation. So, Dr. Lewis, could you tell us about the status of your collection for this year, and how the act of voluntary blood donation ties into World Blood Donor Day, the activities for this year?
Thank you for your question. Good afternoon again to all your viewers, especially our voluntary donors. As you know, on the 14th of June, this is a particular day that is being celebrated around the world, not only in Guyana, and it's specifically set aside for voluntary blood donation. We know voluntary donors are donors who come to the blood bank or probably go to a particular organization where we have external blood collection. You will know it as blood drive. And they give the blood there. So they give the blood with the intention of not receiving anything, right? For the blood. They give it freely. They just go spend 15 minutes and they just give the blood with the intention of not receiving anything. Looking at monetary funding or any form of gift or anything like that. So those are voluntary donors. We have other forms of blood donation, which we promote to a small extent, and of course, they will feel to donate in those circumstances. For example, like family replacement donors, where somebody goes into the hospital, they receive blood, and they then encourage the family to come and replace it, right? Kudos to those individuals. They know at a particular moment that, this is something that you can purchase. This is something you cannot, picked up just like that. So they got help. So they see the need to, replenish the blood bank with the donation or with the blood that they use, which is great also. The good thing about it is that those particular donors, we use the opportunity to educate them, let them know that, the particular blood that your relative receive is from somebody you don't even know, right? And if your relative is to depend on that blood that you donated, they will never make it. So voluntary blood donation guarantees that you always have blood in the blood bank. Because remember, these are persons who come in and donate and they don't have anybody in the hospital. So it guarantees that you always have blood there, and it guarantees, most importantly, safe blood donation.
Mm-hmm. I like how you emphasize on the safe. Go ahead.
Safe.
Mm-hmm.
It means, if somebody is to come 3 times, they already donated. They came 3 times to the blood bank, donated, 3 times, and they come into the 4th time. It's unlikely that that particular individual, will come to you with a particular infectious markers, because they already came 3 times. We test them for the infectious markers, and they are negative for all the infectious markers. It doesn't mean when they come the 4th time we don't test them. We do test them, but of course this guarantees you not wasting your resources, because you got to remember, we're paying staff to don't collect this blood. The blood is being collected in a blood bag. We're using reagents, to test this blood, cost millions of dollars, and it guarantees that you won't be wasting your resources, right? So these persons are safe donors, and this is the reason why, the 2 important reasons why we promote voluntary blood donation.
So you talked about the different types of blood donation. You talk about voluntary, and you talk about when persons who their family, there's a relative who's in a crisis and they donate blood. But there was a time where we used to collect blood, where we paid, where a person would get paid for the blood. Why is this? Just expound a bit on why is this not really the best route to go?
So we don't promote that. Reason being is that, if you're going to pay somebody, it means that they're going to come to us, and the most important aspect for us as a blood bank, or any blood bank, is the screening procedures where we ask questions. We ask questions because we want to eliminate risk, right? So if you're going to pay somebody to donate a unit of blood to you, it means that when the person comes to us, all the interest is on the money that they will receive, and they will come and they will give you all sorts of story and lie to you in the screening process. And we got to remember that every single infection have a window period, meaning that the time when this particular infectious agents enter to your body to the time where our test reagents could pick it up, or testing method that we use could pick up this infection. So there's a window period. This is the reason why we ask you about tattoos and about your lifestyle, right? So not to embarrass you or to just eliminate you like that, we extend the period, which we call the deferral period. So just in case you have a tattoo, or you had a tattoo, and you had it yesterday, and we tell you you gotta wait 12 months before you could come and do it. It's still just in case you come and do the testing, right? We catch you out of that window period, right? It's not just that we want to embarrass you and tell you you can't donate, because our ultimate objective is to get safe blood to the patient, and it could be your relative, right? It could be anybody relative, right? So it's very important that person knows that. And if you're gonna pay somebody, of course your objective is on that money, right? Besides that, the particular relative, at that moment probably in distress, probably anxious, the relative in the hospital and so on. And they may want, feel obliged to pay somebody to donate. But you could always, approach the National Blood Transfusion Service. And we always, especially in times where you have rare blood groups or blood types, they're always persons out there who are willing, voluntary donors, who are willing to come in and donate at any time. We pick up our phone and we call persons, especially in the way group types, the negatives and so on. Persons rush into the blood bank and donate as long as you explain to them the situation and so on, of course. You want to know. It doesn't matter how far you live in. From the quarantine, they will go down to New Amsterdam. And it's so nice sometimes, know that Guyana have so many nice persons who look out to each other. So there's no need, to go down that road and to pay somebody.
I touched on how many, I asked you a bit earlier about about the status of the current blood collection. But expounding on that, I just wanted to know if you can tell me, well, most obviously would know, what are some of the most important, some of the stuff that you collect during these voluntary blood drives?
Okay, so this year, we're better than last year, I must say. Far better than last year. Well, last year we started off real well, January, February, and the early part of March, and then the coronavirus came and had us in a bit of worry. We had to change our strategy by, doing house-to-house sensitization and collection. We did our collection at the primary health care setting. We still continue that, and you still notice that, our younger population, which, of course, schools, especially private schools, schools are still held using virtual method. So our focus is still on community sensitization, but that particular population, especially the schools, we're not getting basically those blood collection, those forms of blood collection. The schools help us a lot, especially with private schools. Those persons does the recruitment for us. They will encourage their parents, family members to come and donate, and they will host blood drive right in the compound there, and we will go and collect blood there. So knowing that they're at home doing their classes at home and stuff, it's kind of difficult now. So, but we still try to reach those persons in the community. Right? This is something that we started last year and we continue doing it. It's very helpful. Some persons, you will catch them in the afternoon because a person leaves to the city to come and work and so on, and then they go home. They return in the afternoon. So we kind of we strategize on how we're going to do the sensitization, especially in the country areas like in Region 2 and Region 6, Region 5, and so on. So it's better than last year. Now we have surgeries going on, elective surgeries. Last year we had to postpone elective surgeries, and now we could continue our elective surgery. It's not the place that we want to be, but there's still some form of restriction due to the COVID-19 situation. In respect to the products that we collect, we collect a unit of whole blood from a particular individual, and the unit of whole blood could be divided into red blood cells or packed cells, FFP, or we call it fresh frozen plasma, and from the fresh frozen plasma we could make cryoprecipitate, which is a clotting factors that we will use mostly for hemophilia patients. And we also have the advantage at the moment of collecting platelets via the apheresis method or apheresis method, where the person is being put on the machine and we extract platelets alone. And that platelets is like 6 times the amount of platelets that we will collect from one single donor. So it gave us the opportunity to collect more platelets and of a better quality that you will use on these leukemia patients and so on, patients who are doing undergoing chemotherapy and so on. That was, a big plus for us because what you could collect from 20, 30 donors, you could collect from one particular donor using a machine. And recently, as for I think it's 2 weeks now, we performing something you call a leukoreduction product. So the leukoreduction product, what we're doing is removing the white cells from the whole blood. And when you remove the white cells from the whole blood, it means that you preventing the release of cytokinase, which is being produced by the white cells. And what the cytokinase does to the recipient is that it produces non-hemolytic fibrosis reaction. So as long as you remove the white cells, you prevent non-hemolytic fibrosis reaction, which usually will cause a fever, or the donor get cold sweat and so on after blood donation. It also prevents the doctors from using hydrocortisone and Piriton, because at the moment what they do, they give you prophylaxis hydrocortisone and Piriton because of the white cell that is usually be in the whole blood. This particularly being produced for sickle cell patient and hemophilia patient or multiple transfuse patient. So I think it's very helpful for those patients. What we got to do now is try to organize and make sure that we get the best usage of that particular product.
Okay. What about the plasma? Because you mentioned platelet, but I know that COVID-19, you were working with a certain amount of, you were looking to collect convalescent plasma. Well, what about plasma?
Yes, so we still encouraging persons to come and donate the convalescent plasma. As you know, that was a experimental treatment, but now there's other treatment that's on board along with the convalescent plasma. A lot of medication, a lot of studies was done as it relates to treatment to COVID-19 patients. So, those medications is being used along with the convalescent plasma. Studies have shown that even those medications by itself works really well, but we still encourage persons to come and donate the convalescent plasma. We haven't stopped.
Okay, so in terms of the target, because I know each blood collection has a target. Were you able to meet we're half of the year already. Were you able to meet that target?
Yeah, so we never had problem with the first part of the year. We always good in the first part of the year. Now we're planning well to make sure that the latter part of the year we could achieve that. About 50% there we in June.
And that's how many units?
Well, our target is usually between 10,000 to 12,000 units. Right? So we're about halfway there now in June. And we're making sure that we work very hard to achieve that. Last year we had a decrease by 25%. So we're hoping if we do have a decrease, it's not by that much. So because of course, like I told you before, the younger population that we usually have the years before, but due to the schools not open and so on at the moment, we cannot really get to fully target. Not that they are not donated, but that turnout that you will want, you're not getting that.
So a lot of young people would get involved in blood donation, voluntary blood donation as well. Tell me a bit about what do you do, because we know that when the pandemic first hit, persons had stopped. They had stopped giving blood because they were afraid, and so on. And then you encourage them, and then they started back giving. What are some of the things that because we're still in a pandemic, what are some of the things that you tell people to encourage them to donate? And what are some of those things? And then we'll go into the other questions.
Yeah, great. So, as it is according to our stats, and this is evidence that most of the person that donate is between the age of 25 to 45. So we always follow by the age between 18 to 25. So we want that age between 18 to 25 to donate the most. Or we want that population size to increase as it relates to voluntary blood donation. The reason being is that if you have the age between 18 to 25 as a larger population that it relates to voluntary donors, those persons, you could get more blood out of them by the time they reach age 65. Right? So it's always good that you could, when you strategize around those age group. So at the end of the day, you get them to donate more because they are far from age 65. So by the time they reach age 65, they donate a lot of units for you. And not just they donate a lot of units, is that the health benefits that they may receive, it will be very good for them also, because as we know, voluntary blood donation, donating blood reduces the cholesterol level, reduces your chance of heart disease and so on. And so it's beneficial for the young people, to start early. So by the time you reach age 65, you donate a lot of units. So what we do is that in terms of, we try to do sensitization in school. Like I told you, you go and you target the younger population. You tell them, of course, people want to know. People just don't want to give something if they don't know that it will benefit them. So you got to make sure that you emphasize on the benefits that they will receive from blood donation as it relates to their health. Right? Reducing cholesterol is a great thing. Chance of hypertension, cardiac disease, and all of that. So it's very important that you instill the benefits, that they will receive from donating blood voluntarily, and also you let them know who will benefit from this particular donation. Right? Accident victim, and we stress a lot on maternal mothers because that is something that is very, very, very critical as it relates to your country, maternal deaths. So we focus a lot on that. If you prevent a mother from dying, you practically save the entire family. You prevent that family from being dysfunctional. And this is one of our focus. So it's important that you educate the young population. You tell them the importance of them donating and the importance of others receiving that particular unit of blood from them.
So there you have it, people. There are a list of benefits for those persons, not just the people who are receiving the blood, but those who are giving, especially the younger folks. And you mentioned the age between 18 and 25. That's the group that the National Blood Transfusion Service is targeting, because they are saying that it's more beneficial to them when they get older. In terms of, we're in the process of immunization, Dr. Pedro, Dr. Lewis, and a lot of persons some persons have received their vaccines. Is there any sort of guideline or anything that a person who would have taken the COVID vaccine needs to know if he or she is interested in giving blood?
Yeah, great question. I like the question. I think this is important for the population. So the vaccines, it's not a live vaccine, so we know we have live vaccines and we have dead vaccine. So this vaccine is not a live vaccine, so it doesn't affect anybody. There's no restriction as it relates to blood donation. We give you like 3 days after vaccination, you could donate. As long as there's no fever, you're asymptomatic, you could donate, no problem. No issues as it relates to the recipient, and no problem as it relates to the donor. So after 3 days, you could donate, right? As long as if you're vaccinated, 3 days after vaccination, no problem. So this was something that we were tracking from the time the vaccines came out. So before it was a few days, 28 days, I think they gave us, and then after, due to studies and so on, because this COVID-19 virus is something new, the vaccine also is something new. So we were tracking it, of course, using PAU WHO, right? And as it is at the moment, 3 days after vaccination, you could donate, as long as you have no symptoms.
Okay. So we'll take a very, very short break, and then when we come back, we'll talk to Dr. Lewis, the Director of the National Blood Transfusion Service, a little bit more about voluntary blood donations.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the program. You're listening to Your Health Matters on Kaieteur Radio, and we're talking to Dr. Pedro Lewis, the Director of the National Blood Transfusion Service, this afternoon. He's telling us a bit, exposing us to some knowledge on voluntary blood donation. And Dr. Lewis, are you there? He's joining us virtually.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay, so we were talking about all of the benefits and so on of blood donation to the person who gives the donation, not just for the recipient. And we touched on a number of things, including those who are vaccinated, that it's safe for them to give blood. But we're about to wrap up, and so we know that next week is the World Blood Donor Day. That is something that was is observed and recognized by the World Health Organization, and so we would have our own local activities going on. So, Dr. Lewis, could you tell us about some of those activities?
Yeah, great. Of course. So last year we had a virtual activity. This year we will have something in the GPHC compound. Won't be a lot of persons. Of course, COVID-19 protocol will be in place. We will be honoring, very important, that we give thanks, to our organization, some of the organizations who would have braved it out and kept external blood collection or blood drive with us in the year 2020. Some real dedicated organization who, of course, is an extension of the blood bank, in terms of recruitment and promote this ideology of voluntary blood donation, which is very critical to the health facilities that utilize blood. So we'll be having it in Region 4. This year what we did is that if you guys know that we also have collection site in Region 2, Region 3, Region 10, and Region 6. So these regions also will be keeping something where they will honor the donors, right? We make sure that we extend it now to the regions so that they themselves could, send out a little thank you or, recognize the voluntary donors in the regions, because before it used to just be in Region 4, but now we have a lot of voluntary donors in those other regions that, we need to say thank you to them also. So the regions also will be doing their stuff in encouraging those donors, and also the organizations that participated in external collection or blood drives.
In terms of
very important.
in terms of voluntary blood collection, you would partner with a number of people. Can you mention some of them specifically?
Well,
I know it's
very numerous to mention.
I know.
Numerous to mention. Is a lot. It's more than 350 organizations that we participate with.
And this would be public and private sector.
Public and private sector. It's a lot. And like I said, I don't think there's an organization in Region 4 that we don't go to for blood drive, right? I don't want to mention names and what's the field left out.
I understand.
But almost all the organizations, we're talking about GRA, NIS, so many places that we go to. The schools, Marion's Academy, so many organizations, I can't remember all of them off my head, but on the day we probably mentioned them. Mandy's we go to. We still go to Red Cross. Red Cross usually is on the second Tuesday of every single month. They will have blood collection with us. EPA, New GPC, and Sumakal, We Care Foundation, Sterling. We have this training, or I must say this exercise group, this training group that is being managed by Ewin. We go there, Textila, Musicna Mandir, Tusha Mandir, Strategic, so many places, Caribbean Surgery, Showbase. Yeah, you just name the organization, we usually have blood collection with them.
Wow.
So this year also we have a stakeholders meeting with these organizations. Starting this year, it will be 2 stakeholders meeting, one for the first half of the year and the second part of the year, where we're going to meet with these stakeholders, these organizations, and try to educate them on how they could increase the amount of persons that donated on behalf. Because there's only so much the National Blood Transfusion Service could do in terms of recognizing persons who donate. So we want them to encourage the persons that donate on behalf of those organizations, and we want to educate them on how they could improve and how they could recognize those individuals on behalf of the organization. Because imagine we recognizing more than 10,000, more than 12,000 donors in there. It's a very difficult task. And some people, at least a little thank you, they look forward for that. But although they're doing it, not looking forward for something, you must say thanks in some sort of way. So in some form, we must recognize the donors. Even at the community level, we could do it from an organizational level. Put them name something on a board and make sure you could advertise it in the organization, so that you encourage them to continue, and you encourage persons to start doing it.
So we're about to wrap up, and so we heard from Dr. Lewis about a number of things that they will be doing this year for World Blood Donor Day. And so, Dr. Lewis, there won't be any blood drives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
that's
addition.
fine. Yeah, but I mean, blood drive is something is a daily something that we always encourage. You call on these organizations and they will plan blood drive. So we encourage persons to be in house, to come in house and donate. Um, like for example, our site at the Georgetown Public Hospital compound.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage persons to come and donate. And we have I can't remember our fund, but we have blood collection during the week. But
Mm.
on that day with the activities, we will have collection right in the yard,
Okay.
right in front of the National Blood Transfusion Service,
Mm-hmm.
where we have our activities, where the activity will be kept.
Mm.
So, and this is similar to other collection sites in Region 2, Region 3, Region 9, and Region 10, and Region 6.
Mm.
So, yeah, we must have blood drive. I mean, we collect blood every single day.
Mm. Okay, so for those who don't or want to know more about voluntary blood collection, I'll give Dr. Lewis a chance to give you some information as to where you can go and how you can find out more about the process and all of that, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah,
Dr.
great
Lewis, go
question.
ahead.
I like this opportunity. So if you're part of an organization, you know, you gather yourself at least 20 persons. You select the venue. It don't cost you nothing, right? Hosting a blood drive is free of cost. The ministry supplies practically everything for you. All you gotta do is probably get the venue, and if you don't have a venue, you could um, use our setting right to the National Blood Transfusion Service. You come, a lot of persons do that. They come and they decorate it nice and so on. They come with a little cupcake, you know. But we provide the vitamins, cookies for the donors. So basically, if you want to decorate the place, or you know, tell us that you know you want the place nice up and so on, we'll do that for you. And you come and you also blood drive. The staff will be here to collect the blood. Similarly, if you have your venue at a particular organization, you just call us 223-7182 or 225-7249, and you give us a date. We work with your date and with your time, of course. And we come in the morning and we collect the blood and so on, and then we return. So, and we come with our vitamins, with our cookies and everything for the donors. So we take care of the donors. Basically, what you have to do is probably do the recruitment. And even if you want us to do a sensitization, and this is very, very important if you're starting this external collection of this blood drive, if it's your force. If it's your force, you know, person going to be scared and so on. So we come and sensitize persons, tell them the importance, and, you know, make sure that we answer all the questions that they may have. Persons have many questions that it relates to blood collection, right? And we answer all the questions, make sure we clear up all the questions with them, and they feel comfortable to donate. Make sure that you're comfortable and so on. So if you're first time, like I said, now there's so many organizations, so many new organizations opening too. So I think if you're gonna make your yearly calendar, I think you should put blood drive at least 1 or 2 times a year into your calendar. Just call us and we will educate you on how to do it. We educate the staff. And we practically do everything. All you have to find is venue. And if you don't have one, you could use our building. There's no problem with that. Even if you don't have space in your building, we have a tent, right? You don't have to rent it. You come and we set up for a tent. So it's practically free, right? Hosting a blood drive. It's very simple, right? Very, very, very much simple. So there's no headache as it relates to the person who want to host, right? If you're an individual and you want to donate, you come into the National Blood Transfusion Service. We open from 8 to 6 o'clock, right? 5:30 to 6 during the week, and 9 to 3 on Saturdays. But you could have a blood drive from Monday to Sunday, right? Even holidays, it doesn't really matter for us. You want to keep your blood drive on a holiday, right? You could get our service, no problem.
So you're making it convenient for everybody.
Everybody.
So there you have it, people. Dr. Lewis gave us a whole rundown on how you can get involved in this very essential life-saving initiative. And I hope more people call the blood bank, because blood is always necessary and needed. Especially, he mentioned people with surgery, those mothers giving birth, they're always in need of blood. So remember them whenever you're giving, or whenever you're considering giving blood. And you can also consider the health benefits that it is for the person donated blood. It's not just for the person receiving the blood. Those donating blood have a number of health benefits, that it would help them with their cholesterol, with hypertension, and a host of health issues. And so just remember those things when you're considering getting involved in a blood drive. So thank you again, Dr. Lewis. It's always a pleasure having you here on Kaieteur Radio. You've always been very willing and patient and helpful in terms of your information. And so those who tune into our program every week, I just want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Just be safe and be kind to yourselves. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your listeners.